Hello everyone. Today we will talk about the risk of birds to aviation and how a couple of actions by pilots like you can reduce the risk. When I mean risk, I'm talking about probability or the severity of a bird strike. Basically, our objectives today is that you can understand the risk that birds pose to aviation. As a pilot, I'm pretty sure that you are aware that birds can cause aircraft accidents. Second objective would be to enhance your knowledge and skills necessary to identify, analyze, and mitigate the risk of bird strikes to aviation. And finally, to promote your interest to continuing your safety training, education and intellectual development in aviation safety. So I provide you with lots of different resources that you can address in order to enhance your skills, your safety skills. A very short outline. So I think you have seen the U.S. Airways Flight 1549 accident happened in 2009, January 2009. And also we will cover some strategies that could be adopted by pilots that could reduce the risk of aircraft accidents. During the flight planning phase, review all available information on known bird hazards at the departure point, flight route, arrival, and alternate airport, for instance, using NOTAMs. During the pre-flight walk-around, you should be alert for signs of nesting birds in the aircraft airframe cavities and around engines, especially if the aircraft has been sitting in a hangar or the tarmac for a while. So while you still are preparing for your flight, obtain information from the ATs and maybe some type of information from the air traffic controllers in regard to any reported bird activity. So I strongly recommend you during pre-flight preparation to hit the windshield. That could increase both windshield pliability and its ability to withstand bird impacts. So that would reduce the risk of bird strikes, the severity, and consider course of actions that may be necessary in case of a bird strike. So if you are prepared, you will know how to deal in case of a bird ingestion. So there is a very interesting video here. I want you to pay close attention so that you can understand what I'm talking about.
Bird strike is a concern for every pilot. The birds may be observed by the flight crew, or the first indication of a bird ingestion may be an engine surge. Flocking birds are a particular concern since they can affect more than one engine. It may be difficult to see the birds and to know how many engines have ingested birds.
Miwa, rotate. Birds.
I check the birds.
Come on, baby. Keep flying.
Keep going now.
Keep flying. Positive rate.
Yeah.
Come on, baby. That's it. Nice job. Keep flying the airplane. There's 400 feet. Okay, what's the problem?
Most bird strikes occur close to the ground, at the very time when there is least opportunity to appraise the situation. Nevertheless, the record shows that establishing flight path control first before taking action on the engine is a more successful strategy than taking immediate action with the engine. There have been accidents resulting from bird strike-related rejected takeoffs above V1 speed, and in each case, the airplane was in fact safe to fly. Therefore, rejecting a takeoff due to a bird strike at speeds above V1 is not considered to be appropriate. Bird strike by an engine may be accompanied by audible thuds, vibration, engine surge, unpleasant odors, and abnormal engine instrument readings such as high EGT. Throttling back an engine may be needed to clear a stall after the airplane has been placed on a stable flight path. If the engine involved cannot be positively identified, do not shut it down. In the unlikely event of multiple engines surging, prompt action may be required to clear the stall on the engines one at a time, to assure that some power is available later.
So as you could see, being prepared for a possible emergency due to a bird strike, for instance, after takeoff, could be the difference between an aircraft incident or an aircraft accident. So you should also be alert while taxiing, noting any report by air traffic controllers and other aircrafts. Of course, you should report any activity so that other crew members in different aircraft will increase their safety awareness. Okay? So whenever possible, you should try to avoid takeoffs directly to the rising or setting sun. It may be very hard to see and avoid even large flock of birds along the takeoff and climb out paths. So, and if necessary, you can always delay your takeoff procedures, or maybe ask the ATC for an alternate runway. So you should use aircraft external lights during takeoff, approach, and landing, especially when you are flying in the bird reach zone. Currently is below 3,500 feet because the majority of damaging strikes occur below 3,500 feet, according to the Federal Aviation Administration. Even though there is no conclusive evidence that birds see and avoid aircraft external lights, especially landing lights, limited data and information suggests that lights, especially landing lights as I mentioned, make the aircraft more visible to birds and give them more time to take evasive actions. So we should select engine ignition on for takeoff role. This will enhance engine flame-out protection, especially when operating the presence of birds. Be prepared to adjust the climb route to avoid birds. As I mentioned in the previous slide, you should try to fly above the bird reach zone, currently below 3,500 feet. Report bird activity so that other aircraft will know that there might be some birds. You should also operate at reduced airspeeds if you are flying through a flock of birds. For instance, if you are in a high speed, flying using a high airspeed, the damage will be much higher. So that would be, we are talking about the severity in case of a bird strikes. And as I mentioned, while en route, listen to the air traffic controller and the other aircraft to obtain up-to-date information on bird activity. So plan your descent and approach to reduce flight time in the bird reach zones, again below 3,500 feet. During descent and approach in the bird reach zone, reduce airspeed in order to reduce the severity in case of a bird strike. So you should also use a higher rate of descent in areas with reported bird activity, of course without increasing your airspeed. All of that to minimize exposure to potential bird strikes, and just you should not forget to turn the aircraft external lights on, especially the landing lights. So in case you are in doubt if there might be some birds, you should consider asking ATC, air traffic control, for another runway, maybe even to divert to another airport. A go-around should only be performed if it can be initiated without striking birds after the aircraft power setting is increased. Just remember, the higher the power rotation, the higher the damage in case of bird ingestion to the engines. Another very interesting point is that birds seem initially to maneuver away from a conflicting or approaching aircraft. So in most cases, birds will dive since they would not have enough flight energy to attempt a sudden climb. So that would be a very interesting, good piloting technique to pass over the birds in case of an imminent encounter. First and foremost, as we have seen in that short video, fly the aircraft, maintain control of the aircraft. If there is more than one pilot, two pilots for instance, you can ask the other pilot to refer to the checklist and help you to carry out the applicable emergency procedures. So we may have to assess the damage and its effect on landing performance. It also may be necessary to land at the nearest suitable airport, so may not have the conditions, safe conditions to fly to your destination airport. And maybe you have to ask assistance of the ATS providers and especially airport personnel so that they can provide their emergency resources after landing. So safety specialists cannot deal with a problem if they do not have enough data and information about previous incidents in case of bird strikes. Data and information derived from previous bird strike reports are also used for instance, scientific research, development of new strategies and technologies to reduce the risk, could be by airport operators, quality assurance of airport wildlife management programs, so they have to make sure that their strategies, technologies are being effective in reduce the risk of bird strikes, and in the development of new standards and regulations by aviation stakeholders, aircraft manufacturers, for instance, Boeing, Airbus, Embraer, and also civil aviation authorities, the Federal Aviation Administration, and even the International Civil Aviation Organization. The minimum you can do to enhance aviation safety in regards to bird strikes is to report a bird strike or to report bird strikes. So we can access the wildlife strike database and you can submit a wildlife strike report. So you are expected to provide a couple of different information. So in our website, in additional resources, you can access the FAA database and have a better understanding of about situations that you are expected to report a bird strikes and also how to do it. So please help the safety process in case of bird strikes report. You, as a professional pilot, should continue your safety training, education, and intellectual development. Additional resources, there's an additional resource link in our website, and you should go there and explore so that you can increase your safety skills and awareness. As I mentioned, you can always acquire and enhance your safety skills, and as a consequence, you will become a safer pilot. I do appreciate your time and patience. Thank you.